In this video, I'm going to share with you how to create a mastermind group that not only gets results for participants, but also lasts and stands the test of time. Mastermind groups are an incredible way for people to grow, transform, get ideas, learn, share best practices, and a whole bunch of other amazing positive outcomes. I know this because I've been running my own mastermind group for the past 6 years, and it's been a game changer, not only for my clients and the people who participate in it, but also for me. Now, the problem that a lot of mastermind groups face, and actually even one that I faced early on, was that people would come, they would stay for that first year, and then that was it. They'd be done, or they would move on to other things, or they would lose interest. And I had to figure out ways to keep people engaged and keep them coming back. So the solution to those problems and those challenges is what I've discovered anyway, what I advocate for, is instead of thinking about building a mastermind group, instead, reframe it in your head as building a community, or even better, building a culture. People join communities that have strong cultures and they tend to stay. People might come and go from a business program or a mastermind group, but if they're joining a culture and if they feel really part of a community, then chances are they'll stick around. So the way to do that is with what I'm going to share with you next. So here are a few ideas for launching your mastermind group. The first is to consider starting with a beta group or a test group. This is kind of what I did. When I decided that I wanted to have a mastermind group and that I wanted it to be like-minded people who shared common interests, I thought to myself, who would I love to have in this group? Well, who do I already know? Which clients do I already work with that I think would be a great fit? And I came up with a list, a short list of, I don't know, maybe 10 people. And I started reaching out and I called them up and I shared my vision. I shared what I was trying to create. And 4 of them were interested. Of those 4 people, I invited them to come in and do a test mastermind group. And 3 of them ended up signing up for my mastermind group. So I was able to fill the community, to fill the mastermind with 3 people to start with. And then from there, I could much more easily go out to people and say, hey, I've got this group that's starting. You can get in on the ground level. I already have these 3 amazing people who are participating. Now, the more amazing the people are that you start the group with, the more amazing people you'll attract. So I highly encourage you to remember that and raise the standards. Keep a high standard for who you initially enroll into your mastermind community, because who you have is going to determine who you get later. And so what you're looking for in terms of who are people who share similar values. Now, I personally started my group with only entrepreneurs, and I started it with a wide, diverse group of entrepreneurs because I thought they could cross-pollinate and give ideas to each other that are new and different. But I'll tell you this, as the years wore on, little by little, I started narrowing the focus. And what I found was as I narrowed the focus and had people that had similar backgrounds, or not really backgrounds, but that were in similar industries, even with a very diverse background. So for example, I had people, all the people were speakers, authors, coaches, or consultants. But I had people in the design space, people in the corporate training space, people in the spiritual development, personal development, mindset, sales training. So they're all in the same sphere in that they were providing coaching and consulting services, similar business models, but they were very diverse within that sphere. And I feel like that was a really good combination to start to seed the culture with new ideas and with really cool different strategies that somebody over here might share with somebody over here that they never would have thought about otherwise. Another thing to think about as you design and launch and start your mastermind group is how many people do you want and what is the format that you're going to use for your mastermind. Now, generally, most masterminds look something like this. You have a group of people and each person gets a turn to put out there, to lay before the group a problem or a challenge they're facing, and then the people in the group weigh in on that problem, give ideas. Now, one thing you'll want to think about is if you have a really huge group of people, then you either have to have very short time frames for everybody to go in the larger group, or you have to break out into different groups. Now, for example, in my mastermind group, we combine it. So we have certain days where everybody gets to go in front of everybody else. And then we have certain sessions where we break out into smaller groups. So we mix it up. Another thing you'll want to think about is how often you want to meet. So your mastermind group, I have one that I'm a member of in my speaking industry that we meet every 6 to 8 weeks for about 2 hours, and there are 5 of us. But the one that I lead, that I get paid to lead, in that mastermind group, we meet once a month for a 90-minute session broken out into smaller groups because we have about 25 members. And then once a quarter, we do a full day with everybody who wants to participate. So think about also whether you're going to do virtual or in person. These days, almost everybody is doing everything virtually. And you might find that you have certain clients, certain participants who really, really want to meet in person. So you might create some sort of hybrid where you're meeting virtually and then once a year or twice a year, you offer the opportunity for those who want to come live in person. Finally, and possibly one of the most important things you're going to do as the facilitator, as the leader, or the creator of a mastermind group is decide how that group is going to interact. Now, I don't mean when they're going to interact or how often. I mean the actual essence of the interaction. One of the things that I found early on in the mastermind group is not everybody is a very good masterminder. Not everybody naturally knows how to engage in this way. And a few of the problems that we faced were, for example, we had some people that dominated the conversation, that gave a lot more feedback than others. We had some people that hung back and were shy and weren't participating. We also had the problem sometimes where the person receiving the feedback wasn't very open or receptive to people's ideas and were kind of shooting down the ideas. And that turned off the conversation and, people felt bad. They felt like their ideas were being rejected. So to manage all of those problems and many more, we created a guidelines sheet. It's sort of a rules of engagement. So one part of the guidelines sheet was all about how to give feedback effectively. So we gave advice, for example, we told people, when you give ideas and when you give feedback to the person, do it in a way that invites them to a possibility rather than in a way that dictates to them they have to do something a certain way. So for example, what it might sound like done quote unquote wrong would be, hey, so-and-so, I checked out your website and it's terrible and you should really redo your whole website and here's the person that can do it for you. You should call this person. Just right away with the word should, it turns people off. So we give them new language. We give them language like, and people even joke because we use this language so much, I invite you to consider. I invite you to consider redesigning your website. When I look at your website, this is the impression that I get, and it might be the same impression some of your clients are getting. And by the way, if you're open to it, I have a person that I can refer you to that could really help you with the redesign. That's a very different opportunity that's presented in a way that's much softer and leaves it open for the person to have sovereignty and say, thank you. Yes, I'm going to take that on. Or, you know what? Thanks so much for that feedback and I'll consider it. Which brings me to the other side of the rules of engagement, how to receive feedback. We found that oftentimes a person sometimes is in that position of receiving ideas and they might be blocked or they might be closed or they might not be as receptive or as open as they could be. So one of the things we advise them to do is to literally physically open up their body and become more receptive, open up their chest, open up their heart, lean back, take a few deep breaths to be ready to receive. And then to use very specific language when they do receive. For example, thank you. We invite them to always use the term thank you after anybody has given them feedback. Thank you for that feedback. I'll consider it. Thank you for that feedback. Would you mind clarifying more about this? Thank you for that feedback. I tried that before, but maybe I didn't try it the way that you're suggesting. Can you tell me more? So allowing them or inviting them to always be grateful for the feedback and always come from a place of gratitude, remembering that these people are giving of their valuable time and energy and insight. Instead of shutting them down or rejecting or judging, the information or ideas that are coming to them. Leading a mastermind program or group is one of the most rewarding things you can do, and it can be very profitable too. If you're looking for insight and ideas about how you can do it more effectively, let's connect. You can set up a discovery call with me for free at superstaractivator.com/go, and I look forward to connecting.